Welcome to the discussion of Part 6, Chapter 7. When we left off in the prior chapters, Svidrigailov had just taken his trip to America, and during that same fitful, stormy night, Raskolnikov had spent the night contemplating what he was going to do, and he has come to a decision that he is going to turn himself in. And before he does that, the first step that he wants to take is to go to see his mother and Dounia one last time. And as he comes to his mother's apartment, Dounia's not there. His mother, anxious, rambling, so excited to see him, not being able to control her emotions, her typical state of things, tells him that she's sorry at the way that she had been, that she had been nudging him and nagging him, and that now she understands after reading his article in the magazine that Dmitri had brought over, that he's a very learned scholar, and of course he acts differently because he has so much on his mind, because he's a thinking man, and that she's not going to behave that way anymore, and that she's just so appreciative of any visit that he can give her, any crumb of attention, and that she understands if he doesn't come, she's just rambling on and on. And he asks to see the magazine because he didn't even know that he had been printed until Porfiry had mentioned it. And this is the first time that he's seeing his article, the theory behind all of this in print. So when she shows it to him, he has two feelings. At first, he feels kind of proud because he's only 23, and yet here he is, a published author. And then upon reflection, he remembers what's in the article, the theory, the hero theory, and he's disgusted. And he's disgusted with himself. And he's disgusted that he believed himself to be the hero, but that he did not behave like the hero. And that although his theory he feels is a sound one, that the only flaw in it was his character, that he didn't rise to the occasion. And he talks about this more clearly after he leaves his mother and he goes to his apartments and he finds Dounia waiting for him. And he tells Dounia that he spent some time, several times through the night, by the bridge, looking into the river Neva and contemplating suicide, but that he couldn't bring himself to do it, which he's very relieved because that's what Sonia and her had been concerned about when he had been out all night. But that he's going to turn himself in, and her relief is that he's finally starting to repent for his sin and making atonement for it by going to jail, by confessing and going to jail, that this will somewhat atone for the sin. And he's furious at this. He says that he doesn't believe that he committed any crime still yet, that he believes that he did a service by killing the pawnbroker, that he would never think that it was a crime, and that the only crime that he sees is that he was weak in his implementation of it, that he didn't rise to the occasion to be the extraordinary person that he wanted to be. He still believes that if he had killed her and been able to do all the good that he thought that he would be able to do afterwards with the money, giving it back to the people, making a better position for himself so that he could help his mother and his sister, that more than would have made up for the bloodshed of the pawnbroker, but that he couldn't do it. And that's what he is frustrated and disgusted with. It's himself. Not that he killed her, which is what Dounia can't understand. She's like, you shed blood. And he's like, that's the least of my concerns. That's not what the disappointing part is for him. And he also doesn't understand why, as he's walking away, one of the things that he's disgusted with when he goes to turn himself in, he's walking the streets and he's seeing all these people in Petersburg, and he's still looking at them as the ordinary masses and still feeling that he's extraordinary. And the disgusting part for him with the thought of turning himself in is that then he's going to be considered lower than these people, not only not extraordinary, but actually less than these ordinary people, because he will be labeled as a criminal and they will look down on him. And that's really what's humbling him. That's what's frustrating him. He has no remorse for this crime. He doesn't feel he committed a crime. He's just terribly disappointed in himself that he did not rise to the occasion to be the hero. And so that is what is most frustrating to him. And he even still is questioning, like, what am I doing this for? He doesn't see any purpose in it. He doesn't see how this will help. He doesn't see how he can come out of what he thinks is a 15 to 20-year sentence and have any time to do anything good with his life. And he just feels it's a total waste. And he's still questioning it and frustrated and unrepentant up until the very end of this chapter. So meet me in chapter 7. That will be, or chapter 8. That's the last chapter in this part 6. And then the last chapter, really, of the main part of the book. After chapter 8, there is an epilogue, which I think are 3 chapters, and that go and follow him after he has made the decision to turn himself in, what happens afterwards. But we just have one more chapter to go in this last part of the book. So stay with me.